Okay, ladies. I just want to come to you this morning about we were going to this last week, but we had a little emergency, and so I wasn't able to do this event, but we scheduled it for next Thursday, the 29th at 10 a.m. All our events are at 10 a.m. So at least you don't have to remember the time. It's always, with all, we always do it, our events on Thursday at 10 a.m. And so that's easy to remember. Or Sunday, I should say. Our main events, our virtual ones, our in-person ones are on Sundays. But anyway, so I have the workbook here, and we are doing it's our monthly caffeinated event for women in business. So for our monthly caffeinated events of women in business, so this is very broad. So it doesn't matter if you're like a financial aid person with some other company, or you're completely solo, or what do you call it? So basically, it's like our caffeinated is a way for women to figure out women who want to live their faith, for the combination of their living their faith and being in business together. And because like a lot of groups out there, like networking groups, business networking groups, let's just call it that. For one, it's hard to find a good group here, especially for women, and also that is more focused on women and women that are living their faith in life and in business. So that's kind of our biggest thing. Are you okay? You're fine. Yeah. And so that's kind of like our biggest thing, is having that community for women to live their faith, and the aspect of, in business, especially in business right here. And so my goal is that we, every 3 months we have this basically a planning workshop to plan the next quarter. So I have the quarter 3 planning workbook, and so already, and so yeah, if you hear that little one, that's my little girl Elle. And so, but yeah, she's I don't like her being on my live videos, or else she'd probably be in my arms right now. But if you come to any of our events, my virtual events, she will be on the camera, guarantee. That's just the way it is. But anyways, but yeah, it's like I have a workbook, so like even for the upcoming events, the 3 events, we'll be using this workbook. I mean, it's not big. I don't want to go too elaborate. But I want it to be something that, not just writing it down and then throwing it away. I want you to be, it's ongoing. And so, with our Liberty, shh. If you have kids, you probably know what's going on. They like to have those moments of being loud. But, so like we have our caffeinated events every month, our monthly events. And so I want you to bring this with you, so then we can reflect on Liberty. Shh, you're really loud right now. Of course, whenever I go live, she always gets very loud. Because like we're breaking out for each month, and so so when we come back together in July for our caffeinated event, it's kind of like an accountability part too. So like when we come back in July, like, okay, how did the last month go, or how's it going so far? What's your goals? Are you on track, or do you need an adjustment, or what's going on. So then, because sometimes like we think, I don't know about you, but it's like with me, it's like, oh, I can do, like when I was with 31, it's like, oh yeah, I can do, like sell, like my goal is like to sell, like with 31, it's like, okay, so if I'm going to sell, my goal is to sell $2,000 in personal volume, my sales, and so that means I need to do like what, 4 or 5 parties, so at least 4 parties, and so, but as July goes on, it's like, oh, I do those first 4 parties the first half of the month, because that's the idea, is book up the first half of the month and not just wait till the last minute. And so like you do those first 4 events, the first half of the month, but then instead of getting 2,000 in sales, you only got 1,000. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately. I had one party where with my grandma where it's like it didn't even qualify as a $200 party, and that kind of stinks. And so that's kind of where it's like, oh crap. So then kind of adjust, like, oh, maybe I need to, it's not, I don't need to count on, okay, if I'm doing, my goal is to do 2,000, I shouldn't, calculate that each party is going to be 500. Maybe I need to calculate as 300 per party. So how many at $300 a party, how many parties do I need to do to get to 2,000 that month? So like things like that. And so that's kind of where it's good to overbook your calendar too, because then if someone cancels on you, or that party sales isn't as high as you want it to be, or whatever. I mean, and life happens, and so that's kind of where, when I was first in sales, when you're doing your goals, of like, okay, if everything works great, like everything is in your favor, it's just goes all perfect, what would that look like? On the other side, it's like, okay, if you do all those things like that, but if it goes terribly wrong, and what would that look like? And then, so you have the perfect picture, the worst situation, combine them, and like, where is that medium ground? And that's probably what's going to happen. Most likely, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, you want up, huh? Oh. You stepped on your legs. But anyway, so that's kind of where it's having a action plan, and then as the months goes by, we're reflecting back of, okay, what was your goal? Where are you now? And then how are you moving forward for the next month? And so that's why having this workbook will be huge, just to like for the next events. And then, so then when we're doing when we come back together for the 4th quarter planning, you want this to reflect back on, so then you can move forward into the 4th one. And so then at the end of the year, we're going to do the next, Q1, the 1st quarter for 2014. I'm still trying to adjust with 2024. So like planning for 2024, plus you're breaking, like doing the overall 2024 planning, but then breaking it down to like, okay, this is kind of the overall for each quarter. So then what are you doing for the 1st quarter? And so, so yeah. But anyways, that is this next Thursday, the 29th at 10 a.m. I do have the link to RSVP to get the Zoom link and to get this book as well, or the workbook as well. So I hope to see you next Thursday. So, thanks. So, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out my closing thing. But yeah, like, here at All I always encourage to, be inspired to live your life, live your faith daily. So, and have a wonderful day.